Alright, and welcome back. As the title says, raccoons ate my chickens. And how I caught them. So either way, the story is not over yet. I have not caught all of the raccoons, which is upsetting. But at the same time, I didn't realize how many there were. We knew this was going to be a problem out here, and as you can hear, I got a rooster in the background right now. But we knew this was going to be a problem. This is of no surprise. It's just the sheer amount of individual raccoons that we have found out here is just unbelievable. The other night I came out here because I heard something and there was a raccoon outside, and it was after the chickens and everything, and I shined a light up into the woods. And there had to have been 14 different sets of eyes in the woods. It was absolutely insane. So this is going to be a very busy night, probably week. We've already been at this now for, well, shoot, we've been trapping these things since we got here. But we've had a really bad problem. We lost about 20 or about 30 birds. And that's a pain in the butt as it is on its own. But either way, we've been at this now, trapping these guys for 3 months or so, and they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. And this video is really just to demonstrate the two different types of traps that I use and help you with your raccoon problem if you have a raccoon problem. And these would also work for possums as well, but this one especially is a coon trap. But anyway, moving on. How I solved the problem here. Obviously with trapping them. This seemed to be the only way that was really effective because it's hard to shoot at night sometimes. And you don't always get a good shot. So what we did is we originally had bought 4 traps, 4 little steel traps like this. And used these. And they worked okay. They worked fine. And they still do work fine. But the problem that I was having is the bait would get stolen more often than not out of these. And I'll show you why. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way real quick. But the trap, as these are set, is you have to open the little arms and then flip these down, right? And then you take this dog over here and you flip it over and you pin it inside. There's a little notch down in here. See if I can get a close-up for you. There is a little notch inside, right in there. And you take that dog and you flip it over and you get it in that notch. And then you lift this plate. And then you set the sensitivity right there on how sensitive you want it. And you can go more or you can go less. And that's completely up to you and how you want to set them. I set them less, but the problem I was having here, and I'll show you, is that when I would set them, and I assume this is probably something, I am not a professional trapper by any means. I do not claim to know how to do this on a professional level. I am simply doing this because I need to. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to set this thing extremely heavy. And don't ever handle live traps, it's just not safe. But this is the problem that I was having. As you can see, this trap is set right now. And you can set it off. And I'm going to grab a stick for this. But the biggest problem that I was having with these traps is these coons will come in and they will take this and they will flip that over, and that will not set the trap off. I could even grab that with my fingers and flip it, and I could smack this thing pretty hard right now, and you can see it's not going off. But they will flip that up, and then they will go ahead and they will reach their fingers up in here, and they will pull all the bait out and leave you with an empty trap. Sometimes they'll set it off, but more often than not they'll just clean it out and they'll leave it like that, and you'll come out in the morning and that thing will just be sitting there and you'll be frustrated. So I got over the frustration because they would more often than not, like I said, steal the bait from the trap. And I still use these. I'm just developing different ways to make them work, I guess, more frequently. And that's really why I ended up moving into these dog-proof traps over here, because these are almost foolproof, where you're gonna get a coon about every time. So either way, moving on from that, these little Duke traps like this, and the brand is not really relevant, at least not to me, but this is a Duke trap, and this one, like I said, it's just, you have to set them off a few times in order to get them to be as properly sensitive as you need, because you have to get that wear in on that little arm. But these, like I said, they can be robbed really easy, and even now with the sensitivity down, you can see that I can just flip that back and forth, and eventually it will get tripped, and I'm going to trip it right now. But having that right there kind of irritates the crap out of me. So that trap, again, do use them, but I favor them a lot less. Now, the one that I do like, and I wish I could set this for you right now, but I recently had a surgery that prevents me from squeezing down with my left hand. But these set right here, this is a dog-proof trap, also a Duke trap. And what they do is, you can see these arms back here, you squeeze this, and that little hoop inside will grab the coon's arm, and these are set exactly the same way. They have a little notch back here, right in there. You just set that dog in there again, and you can either stick these down in the ground somewhere like that, and a raccoon will stick their hand down in there and trigger the thing. What I like to use inside of these traps is, like, they tend to like little carrot shreds, or, you know, chicken, any kind of like shredded up rice, anything like that, shredded up meat. You just dump it in there and have very loose bait down inside of these, and kind of sprinkle it around the mouth and sprinkle it down inside of there, and there's a trigger down inside, and they stick their hand down in there and they start pulling that bait out and pulling that bait out, and they go ahead and they get snapped in there, and then you go ahead and take care of business when you get to the trap. Now, these, like I said, 9 times out of 10, this is where I'm going to catch my coon at. And typically, the way that I have my trap set, it's done before they even have a chance or even think about going after my birds. Because I bait, this is probably not the smartest, but since it's the area where it's happening, I dump bait out at my chicken pen, because now the coons are used to the chickens being there, but they're not. They're actually free ranging right now, and they tend to roost up in the trees at night now because of the coons, I would assume. But I put it right outside the chicken pen, and they go after the bait before they go after the chickens, and I typically will catch them there. And another thing is, you could stake these down. I've never had a problem. You can see I still have a little piece of wire back here. But what I'll do is I'll wire around a fence post, and then wire these two together with just like baling wire, some kind of, you know, just decent sturdy wire. You don't necessarily have to stake it down. That's a personal preference. You can do whatever you want. It's not a big deal. The biggest thing is, you just want to make it something strong enough to where the raccoons or whatever is in it is not going to chew through it, because they will, and they will work on metal. They will absolutely try to chew through metal. Do not get me wrong on that. But, you know, I just wanted to go ahead and throw that piece of information out there. This is not like a super informative video. I'm not some kind of professional trapper. I'm just having trouble with raccoons as of lately, and I wanted to show the method in which I was using, and still am currently using, going to be using again tonight, to catch the coons. If I had to choose between these two traps and what I was going to set and use for raccoons and an issue of this nature, I would go with the dog-proof traps all day long, because it actually gives the raccoon something to reach down inside of, and they love doing that. They just love, for some reason, digging through holes. These are a little bit more difficult to set because you have to squeeze them. They're not hard to set, they're just a little bit more difficult, and currently, because I cannot use my left hand 100%, I can't even set this. But again, like I said, this is the trap. The dog-proof, Duke dog-proof traps, coon traps, is what I would choose. 9 times out of 10, if you've got this thing baited and set properly, you're going to catch that coon. There is not a question of if, it's just a question of when and where they're showing up. So I do recommend these Duke dog-proof traps. They have gotten me so far. Let me see, I've trapped about 10 coons in the past week, and all but 2 of them were caught in this trap, and actually the other 2 were caught in this exact trap right here. And I just pulled them out for this video really quick because I'm only, maybe 50 yards away from where I'm trapping right now, as it's not that far from my house. But again, I do prefer these traps, the dog-proof ones. These little round traps, steel traps, they'll do just fine. But I have more success with these ones right here. And that's exactly what I would recommend. And I'm probably going to buy a few more. These are a little bit more expensive. I believe these are about, just a shade under 20 bucks. Who knows now, they probably are 20 bucks. Versus these ones right here, which are anywhere from $4.99 to $8.99. Just kind of depends on where you go. It is hard to find. You can't get these on Amazon or anything because a lot of people frown on this. And I mean, it is what it is. Everyone's got their own opinions. This is just how I found an effective way that worked for me. And that's that. But you can go get these traps at like any kind of local like MFA or farmers cooperative or a tractor supply store, and they should have everything you need right there. And then as far as the bait goes, I mean, think about it. Whatever a raccoon would want, something sweet, salty, meat, doesn't really matter. You can feed them about anything and they'll eat it. You just have to make it appealing to them and make sure it's loose enough to get inside of this trap to where they have to keep digging for it, and something that breaks up a lot. But either way, that's what I wanted to go ahead and share. And good luck, and don't play with live traps or anything like that. Have a great day.